After eating the yellow moon stew, Princess Mia reflected on a mysterious voice she remembered. She requested sweets to seek clarity, but is disappointed when a maid drops the cake. Mia remembered Anne, a loyal maid from her past life, and decides to reward Anne by appointing her as her personal maid. Mia's resolve to change her destiny with Guillotine makes her recall another loyal subject who can help her save the Empire from its grim fate.
The first encounter with him was the worst. That day, Mia met the young official for a recognition of his service. Her first impression was that he wasn't so bad. In fact, she quite liked him. He had smooth hair long enough to cover his ears, and he wore a pair of small glasses that were foreign made. Even though he came off with an aura of aloofness, his facial features were enough for him to catch Mia's eyes. That's why Mia gave him a gentle smile that she rarely shows to commoners, and she also greeted him with an uncharacteristic gentle voice. However, his response was, "Do you know how much your royal meal cost?" And it was said in a sharp and cold voice.
What? Aren't you being rude?
Suddenly, Mia felt offended. The young man with glasses before her was clearly angry. She had no idea why. It was very rare for the Mia at the time to see someone angry at her, especially by someone she had met for the first time.
I have to let you know, I came here to recognize your efforts. Why would you offend me like that?
That's right. She met him to show her appreciation for the work he had done. The Empire was in financial trouble, and there was a rebellion from a small tribe. That was when Mia heard that there was this official who refused to abandon his duties and continued to work tirelessly himself while all the other officials had run away.
It's a very impressive story. I should personally give him a visit.
That was her intention. And now, here she was. She was the one who came here to give her appreciation. So, how come if this young official gave him a cold, condescending look and giving her the "Do you know how much the royal meat cost?" And not only that, he continued on with his sermon. It would be annoying for you to be standing there forever. If you have free time, why don't you just do your job as a princess? Something useful that only you can do, Your Highness.
What insolence! This man's attitude is terribly unforgivable.
Mia was so angry with the encounter that day that she couldn't sleep that night. After she got to bed, she slammed on her pillows and grinded her teeth and kept tossing and turning until morning. So it is true that their first encounter was really the worst. But it was also true that when Mia was imprisoned in the dungeon, the young official remained steadfast to his duties, and he worked tirelessly to appeal for the release of Mia, and he ran from one end of the empire to the other in his attempt to restore the empire. One day, on the day of her execution, it was only Anne and him that came to see Mia. For that reason, Mia's trust in him ran deep.
If only he would be nicer with his words, I wouldn't have a complaint about him. If you say so, Third Tax Officer Ludwig, I will appoint you to the Red Moon Ministry.
While Mia was reminiscing, the situation had turned for the worse.
Ah, Ludwig, that's right, that's his name, but the Red Moon Ministry?
You're sending me to the countryside?
That's right. If you increase local taxes, then we can avoid this empire crisis that you are talking about, right?
But
this is bad. That stupid Four Eyes is already about to be kicked out of his job and sent to the countryside.
Mia panicked.
The last time Ludwig was sent to the countryside, he did not come back until it was far too late. By that time, the empire was already beyond repair. This means that if he goes now, I'm heading straight to the guillotine.
Mia jumped out of the shadow and stepped in front of them.
Wait a minute. What? Who is... Whoa, Your Highness. I believe I heard enough to understand what is going on here. I'm sorry to subject Your Highness to such a tedious discussion.
The high-ranking official wiped a sweat that appeared on his forehead.
It doesn't matter. I don't agree with it. I must say that I find it terribly unwise to be throwing young officials to the countryside just for voicing out their opinions. I'd prefer if they could speak their minds freely and can have discussions that will benefit the Empire more. I see, but...
Before the high-ranking official could finish his thoughts, Mia shot him a glare.
Oh? Is that resistance I hear? What? No, of course not. I'm glad to hear that. By the way, the young one over there, your name was Ludwig, was it not?
Yes. Ludwig was surprised by the sudden mention of his name. Then Mia grabbed Ludwig's hand and took him to a room in the building.
We need to have a little talk. Hope that's okay?
At first, Ludwig was surprised by the turn of events, but now that he has regained his composure, he was disappointed with the seemingly senseless behavior of the young princess.
I just want to talk with you for a little.
But I said I'm busy.
There is something I would like to ask to you.
She's not even listening. She really is a selfish princess. She really deserves such title. Ludwig sighed, while shrugging with a slight dismay. So, what do you want to ask?
Very well. I will ask this in a straightforward manner. How can we rebuild the Empire's finances?
When he heard that, Ludwig's eyes narrowed. In that case, let me ask you a question first. Your Highness, do you know how much your meal cost?
Well, a single meal of mine would cost the equivalent of a month's salary for you. That would mean that it is roughly 1 crescent gold coin, right?
Mia answered with the smuggest grin she had ever worn. Ludwig was completely surprised and shocked by Mia's answer. Mia, who saw this?
Well, this feels terribly good.
Seeing Ludwig's face was like a drug for her. She needed more.
In the first place, the financial problem of the Empire is simply that there is more money going out than money coming in. To solve it,
Then, from Mia's mouth, the problem of the Tearmoon Empire emerged. It's not what Mia came up with in the library for the last few days. Of course not. Rather, these were the words of Ludwig in the alternate future. She was just parroting him back. She could remember the events of the first day that she met him. She could remember his haughty expression as he lectured her about topics big and small, full of sarcasm. Almost everything went through her head, but still,
I shall never forget such humiliation. I will never forget those days.
it was a humiliating event for her. So she burned every word that Ludwig said into her mind. Now, all that she's doing is saying all those grudgeful memories back to him. Mia spoke about the problems with the Empire, the problems with the nobles, the problems with the imperial capital, the problems with the neighboring kingdoms, and many more. If anyone else was listening to their conversation, they would have shouted at her brazenness to parrot Ludwig's own teachings. Meanwhile, Ludwig's expression has changed from that of surprise to that of reverence and awe. Enough. He held up one hand to stop the princess' sermons. Then he knelt in front of Mia. I am impressed that there was someone so wise within the imperial family. The words shook Mia's body.
Wise? Did he just say that I am wise? This miserable Four Eyes just praised me.
Mia trembled with joy.
Oh, I feel like I was reincarnated just for this day.
Mia was at the height of her excitement, but if you already know the problems, then surely you would be able to rebuild this empire without me. Mia paled instantly.
By the moons, I royally messed up. I've gone too far.
It was a big miscalculation indeed. What Mia said was Ludwig's words. However, Ludwig only came to those conclusions after surveying the countryside and visiting neighboring kingdoms. In other words, Ludwig had to do a lot of work to come to those conclusions. For the present day, Ludwig, who was still new to the job, Mia's words were like providence. It was after he went around the countryside and investigated the circumstances of foreign countries. Mia's grasp of the current events and possible predictions of the future, coupled with the fact that she was only 12 years old, was simply too much for Ludwig to handle. In his mind, all he had to do was to leave everything to this goddess of wisdom that he had encountered. Needless to say, Mia wasn't a goddess of wisdom, and nothing would turn out fine if left to her. So, with her back against the wall, Mia desperately started thinking.
No, it's no good. I can't think of any good explanation.
As expected, she's a regrettable princess. Fortunately, there was an excellent young official in front of her. Were you perhaps concerned that people might not take you seriously because you are still young? His interpretation was very convenient for Mia. Very wrong, but also very convenient.
That's right.
Mia joined in the flow. She could feel the wave of fortune pushing her up. Furthermore, Mia was experiencing a rare moment of mental clarity.
And no matter how wise I am, I can still be wrong. So I want you to think about these issues and tell me what you think about them.
Anybody with a sense of modesty would have never called herself wise. However, because Ludwig's lingering astonishment, all these were clouded by the veil of awe for Mia. A mind unclouded by its own brilliance, and ears that welcome a subordinate's advice? Your Highness, you truly are. Mia's words impressed him when just moments prior, his superior brushed his appeal without a thought. Ludwig never dreamed that Mia would be a dumbass princess who is totally helpless without the wisdom that he provided. Ludwig once again thanked her, and he kept his head down and bowed deeply. If that's the case, I, Ludwig, will cooperate with you with all my heart.
I accept your pledge.
Hearing Ludwig's praises and reaction was a full pleasure for Mia. In this way, Mia got her greatest ally after Anne. Anne tilted her head a little when she saw Mia smiling. Did something good happen, Mia-sama?
Oh, how did you know?
Ever since returning to her room, Mia had been in good spirits. After all, that stupid Four Eyes just called her wise.
Wise? He called me wise.
She felt like she just ascended into heaven, and her mood was unlikely to change for a while.
Oh, that's right. I have to write this in my diary so that I won't forget the memorable events of today.
Immediately, Mia picked up her diary and dived to the bed. She rolled around like a small ball, then she rolled again to the other direction. The feeling of comfort from the luxurious mattress that was made of moonfowl feathers gently grabbed Mia's body. Mia tickled her legs, crouching in a fluffy blanket. The skirt of her loungewear was turned over, and her young legs were exposed, and she was anything but princess-like. Mia-sama, please stop that. That's indecent. Even Anne's words failed to have an effect on her. Mia looked at her with still the same happy smile.
I'm Princess Mia the Wise, the wisdom of the Empire, didn't you know? So there's no problem.
Anybody seeing Mia's behavior would have branded her as annoying and being a brat. Anne, however, was looking at her with gentle eyes. Look at how she's beaming. She must be so happy being complimented by the man that she has feelings for. Anne is Anne, and because she has a strange misunderstanding with Mia, she feels more like an older sister watching over her sisters feel love, so she looked at her with the lens of affection. There's a saying in Tearmoon that a misplaced button messes up the whole shirt. Misunderstandings, once ingrained, can be difficult to undo. Mia, on the other hand, was beating the bed with her feet as she wrote a new diary entry. She started writing from making Anne her exclusive maid and up to the events that transpired today. Of course, there were a few exaggerations here and there.
My, how quickly I was able to write this entry. I wonder if I have a talent for poetry and theater.
Since she was very happy, her pen flew through the pages. When she finished writing the final word and closed her diary, a thought came into her mind.
Since I have changed the contents of this diary, I wonder what will happen to the diary from the future.
It was a bout of curiosity. She put the two diaries side by side. Since she just wrote a new entry to her current diary, what would happen to the entry in the future diary? Mia casually opened the bloodstained diary.
What is this?
It was an unintentional subtle voice coming out from her. The letters in the bloodstained diary were distorted and rewritten. What Mia wrote earlier in the current diary will be rewritten as it is in the bloodstained diary. And from there, the other future entries started to change as well. It looked as if the future was rewriting. Not only did it look like that, but the future was actually being rewritten. Mia suddenly realized, with the help of Ludwig and having him by her side early on, a big change has been made to the future of history.
Does this mean then that...
Mia got up and sat upright on the bed. With shaking hands, she quickly turned the pages to the last entries of her diary. Upon seeing it, she let out a side sigh.
It still didn't change, after all that.
The final entry, which remained unchanged, predicted the execution of Mia.
Why is this happening?
Her world seemed to darken because of despair. Faced with the fact of her tragic end, she began to panic. She wanted to run away and escape it all.
It's okay. I still have time.
After taking a deep breath and calming down, Mia reread her diary. It contained a number of events that, with the help of Ludwig, had some financial improvements. But there were still things that did not change. The outbreak of plague in the capital slums, the rebellion of a minority tribe from the outlands, along with much more. The problems were piled up. What's more, she had no idea how to solve all, or any of them.
This is really bad. This is not the time to let Ludwig's compliment get into my head.
Mia stood up, feeling like a bucket of cold water had just been poured over her head.
Anne!
She called out her personal maid in a voice that rang with command and purpose.
I need to think, so I request that you bring me some sweets.
She asked for so little. Where there is light, there is always a shadow. Lunatir, the glorious capital of the Tearmoon Empire, also has a place that people chose not to look at. Near the walls were the slums, commonly known as the New Moon District. This is the place where the poor sleep, where there is not enough food, where the sick don't get care, and they just get thrown away. It seems all semblance of civilization has left this place, except for a small church that housed an orphanage. Indeed, the place was an abandoned district. A young girl in a beautiful dress was walking along the street of this forsaken district. It was none other than Mia Luna Tearmoon, the beloved daughter of the Tearmoon Emperor.
Your Highness, please don't walk too far ahead. In fact, please don't walk in front of us.
Around the girl were 4 armed guards, her exclusive maid Anne, and Ludwig, who was a recently added ally. In order to explain why such a conspicuous group is visiting such a place, it is important to go back a few hours.
After all, this problem is something that definitely needs to be solved.
Mia's head was surprisingly clear, probably because of the sweets Anne brought. After rereading the diary, Mia found an interesting description in it.
The plague. I remember having eggs thrown at me because of this. A few years from now, a pandemic will devastate the capital. It was a terrible incident that even Ludwig wasn't able to predict. It would kill 10% of the capital's population. According to the rewritten diary, the Emperor's finances, which had improved due to Ludwig, deteriorated again because of the pandemic. Well, I know I can't leave it alone, but how can I prevent the plague?
As a rule, Mia hates hard work. She can stay in the large library if she needs to, but she won't last long. And she hates studying and researching. Then, what should she do?
For now, I will just ask the things that I don't understand.
The answer is simple. Just ask someone and rely on them. Mia, after all, has now a convenient source of knowledge.
Miss Anne, I'm going out.
Where are you going, Mia-sama?
To see that stupid to see Ludwig.
Anne's eyes sparkle with enthusiasm all of a sudden. Oh, the gentleman from the other day. Then I have to fix your dress and make you look pretty.
Is that so? I think my dress at the moment is nice enough already.
Mia was currently wearing a chic black dress, which she often wears in her room. While it might be a little bland for a ball, it was more than suitable for casually meeting people. That won't do at all. Don't you want to be appealing to men? Now, off to the dressing room, Mia-sama. Mia was forcibly brought to the dressing room, and with the help of another veteran maid, prepared Mia's clothes. They decided to dress her in a blue dress with a relatively short skirt. It was designed to look cute and is easy to move around.
My, I don't think I've seen this dress before.
Mia's dresses can easily fill rooms, so of course, it wasn't surprising that she couldn't keep track of all of them. There are even some dresses that she outgrew without ever being worn. You look good, Mia-sama. With a smile, Anne began combing on Mia's hair. After combing, her hair was shining platinum, and then Anne put on a hairpin that was adorned with rainbow-colored jewels.
Oh? That's...
Looking in the mirror, Mia looked at the hairpin and her eyes narrowed slightly. What's the matter, Mia-sama?
It was a gift to Mia last year. Mia likes it very much.
Anne laughed happily when she heard the story of the veteran maid in charge of the dressing room. Is that right? It's just perfect for the occasion then.
I suppose so.
Mia replied with a hint of sadness in her voice.
To be honest, I don't really like this.
It wasn't the design or ornaments that Mia disliked. She had another reason why she wasn't happy with the hairpin.
But for going to see that stupid 4 eyes, I guess this is enough.
In the end, Mia chose to say nothing.
This is it for this video. We will continue with the story of the Guillotine Princess in the next episode. This was Brian, and of course, as always, Marco, and we're the Jubble Sweeps.